Welcome back to my series on where I review follower chief gear. So this person, she is I think she's in a newer state. I honestly don't remember. But she's an FC5, so I assume she is between generations 3 and 5 as far as heroes go. She did not send me her heroes. She only sent me her chief gear. So let's take a look at it. So we can start with, of course, we always start with chief gear in infantry. And it's T1 1 star. And then if we come over here, we can see that the pants are T1 2 stars. So, that's fine. She's newer, or she's free to play and she's building up slowly. And then we look at the marksman chief gear, and it's T1 1 star, and over here it's T1 1 star. And then up here we see the lancer gear is T1 1 star, and the lancer compass is also T1 1 star, and all of this is purple gear, right? So instead of having twins, we have a quintuplet and then one who's a little ahead of the rest. So what I would recommend she do is build up the jacket and the pants for her infantry for chief gear. I would take them up to at least T2, both sides, the jacket and the pants, before I upgraded the marksman. And then I would upgrade the marksman to T1 2 stars. And then I would go in and stair step all three of them moving forward. So I would go infantry, infantry, marksman, marksman, lancer, lancer. Or she could go infantry, marksman, lancer on the right side, and then infantry, marksman, lancer on the left side. It's, how she does that is up to her. The main thing is that the jacket and the pants should always match, and they should always be a couple steps ahead of the marksman gear. And then if she wants to be defense focused, she might want to have the lancer gear be equal to her marksman gear. But I do recommend that because we rely so heavily on marksmen and in later generations, I would suggest that she keep the marksman gear a couple ahead of the lancer gear right now. And that's how if I were her, that's how I would handle it moving forward. So that by the time the marksman gear, that's what I would do. I was about to say something else, but I think that I would upgrade the jacket and the pants to T2 purple, and then the marksman to T1 2 stars, and then I would go back and do infantry, marksman, lancer moving forward. So let's take a look at her charms. So for charms, we always start with marksman, and we can see that she has 5, 5, 5 on this side, and over here she has 5, 4, 4. And then for infantry, she has 4, 4, 4 and 4, 4, 4. And then up here, she's got 4, 5, 4 and 5, 4, 4. Okay, so for her charms, what I'm guessing is she's upgraded her marksman, and the next step is she's going to upgrade the marksman staff. And then she's upgraded the lancers also. In early gens, we rely a lot heavier on lancers for not just defense, but also for attack. So her having stronger lethality for her lancers makes sense because I do believe she's in an earlier generation of heroes. So again, once you move to a certain point, you rely a little less heavily on Lancers for attack. So what I'm going to have her do here is get her marksmen to, I would bring all of her marksmen up to 7. So, or have it like 7, 6, 6, or it's 5. I would have it 7, 6, 6, 7, 6, 6 is how I would do that. And then for her infantry, I would bring them all up to 5, and I would bring her Lancers all up to 5. So the Lancers and the infantry are going to be, their charms are going to match, but her marksman is going to be a bit ahead of them. And then I would go in and do marksman, Lancer, infantry, or she could do marksman, infantry, Lancer. Since her infantry and Lancer are going to match, it doesn't matter which of those she does first. Part of it is going to rely on what her ratios are. I'm guessing she's in an earlier gen and they're still using 5-2-3, or that's 50% infantry, 20% Lancer, 30% marksman. I'm gonna guess they're still using that. It's not until later heroes like Nora and Hector that you start getting heroes that really target the infantry and marksmen, which could lead you to using something other than 5-2-3. So that's my suggestions for her. I think she's done a really good job about equalizing, and but now she needs to start separating based on the job that they do. So we want the infantry to have a really strong defense, and we want the marksmen to have really strong lethality, and we want to boost their health a little. And then for defense, we want to boost the infantry. We want to boost the infantry's attack and also boost their defense. So infantry is stronger on defense, and we want to give that a nudge by increasing their chief gear. Infantry is a little weaker on attack than the other two, so we want to strengthen that by upgrading their chief gear. And then marksmen, they're stronger on lethality, so we want to strengthen that because that's their primary goal. But they're a little weaker on health, so we want to give that a boost by upgrading their charms also. So that's kind of why we're upgrading the charms so much for the marksmen, and the infantry gear so much for the chief gear so much for the infantry. And then Lancers, they're not important. We don't want to underestimate them. We don't want to completely forget them and leave them in the dirt, because there is always a time and a need for Lancers at some point, unless you're a mega well. I know during Frost Dragon Tyrant, there were a couple of wells for offense and defense. There was nary a Lancer in sight, but their stats are also crazy high. And most of us don't have those kinds of stats yet. As she learns what kind of player she wants to be and she identifies the heroes that she likes more, she should become very familiar with those heroes' skills, and then consider also which heroes you're going to want in the future. So everybody wants Hector in Gen 5 because he is the best infantryman up until Gen 5. So you want to get Hector. But do you want to get Reyna or Renee? Reyna is in Gen 4 and Renee is in Gen 5. Or you could go with Nora. Renee is in Gen 6. Or you could go with Nora. Nora's more defensive. Reyna is more offensive. So, like, deciding who you're going to prioritize with your heroes is going to be important on determining where she should upgrade, because she wants her chief gear to complement the heroes that she's going to use. And then, of course, everybody needs to focus on Mia, because we will all be using Mia for Bear from, well over a year. So it's important to concentrate on upgrading Mia and her widget. But as far as her chief gear, upgrading your marksman charms is going to help you with the bear scores, which is going to give you more essence stones. Upgrading the chief gear for your infantry is going to help you a lot on defense, but it's also going to help you with your offensive line, which is your infantry is your front row. They're going to protect your marksmen and lancers when you're going on attack, so that your marksmen and lancers don't die as fast. So that's my advice for this one. As always, feel free to include your comments or feedback. Welcome that. And if you like my content, I encourage you to like, share, repost. Share with your friends that play Whiteout Survival. I do have a YouTube. It's Joan d'Arc there as well. So if they prefer YouTube to TikTok, they can access all of my videos on YouTube. Thanks. Have a great day.